3, 2, 1. Boom! And we are live. I am joined by Tim Elliott-Simmons Jr. from SportRadar, but I look at you as a friend, not just a colleague or TJ. First of all, thank you for coming on, giving me your time. I know you're a busy dude, so first of all, thank you.
Nah, it's an honor, bro. I appreciate you having me, for real.
First of all, this has been such a strange time for everybody, not even just the sports world, but everybody in general. So the last time I spoke to you, this was before COVID-19, the whole pandemic. I was just covering Charlotte for the first time. I cover Orlando.
Yeah,
How have you been? How's the family been? Have you been okay?
everything's been good, man. You know, trying to make it as best we can. Family's okay. Moving through it. How about yours?
It's been good. It was an interesting transition. Like I was in Miami when it
Okay.
happened, and then I was like, oh man, it's probably the wrong place to be when this happened. So then I went
Yeah.
to my mom in Greensboro, and then I kind of got stuck up there for a couple months. So I got to help her around build a podcast. So really, I feel very fortunate because it gave me an opportunity to work on some things that I may not have had time to before. So not even just like family time, but with the podcast, with video.
Everything.
Yeah, so it was a productive time for me, but I know how serious it is for other people, so I don't want to downplay it by any means. But hasn't been too bad. Other than the sports, no sports has been kind of rough. But yeah,
Jeez.
it's been rough, man. But before we get into anything, I wanted to say thank you to you because TJ, you allowed me to like feel comfortable in an area that was new to me. And when I went with my brother Rob and I, when we were there covering the Hornets, like my first time, I really didn't know how things worked, and you were extremely kind and open and willing to help me, and you were just a good dude. And like you could tell, and we had these conversations when I was there.
Yeah.
Not everyone's like that, especially in this business.
Nah,
Everyone's out for themselves. Everyone wants to
for
make sure
sure.
they're good. And I just want to say I appreciate that because I feel like you and I, not only did we click, but now we got something going forward where I know you're going to be extremely successful, and it will always go back to that story. So I just want to say thank you.
Right. Nah, man, it's no problem. I just knew I felt your energy as soon as I met you. I could tell you was a real genuine dude, and I know what it's like to be new in the building. So,
Yeah.
and so I've had people helping me out. So it was nothing to me to help you out. I could just tell that nothing could stop you. You seem like that type of person already, and I like that a lot. I like that a whole lot.
I appreciate that, man. And I remember speaking to you. I'm like, you're gonna be a future GM. Like I could just see it, like the way we were talking, the way we were thinking. I'm like, wow, you thought next level on this. So
Yeah.
I want to dive right into it.
Okay, for
So
sure.
let's just say the NBA season returns,
Mhm.
and now there's rumors of how they're going to have people play in, where they're going to play. It looks like it's going to be in Orlando. I think we can all agree it's going to return. It's just a matter of when. Is it late July, which I really hope it's not because that's when the NFL season's starting to kick away. I prefer early July as long as the players are healthy and okay with it. But the interesting part is the 16 seeds. So it would mix the East, it would mix the West. Are you a fan of that, or do you prefer the traditional? Let's have the Eastern Conference. Let's have the Western Conference.
Uh, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist, but that's
Okay.
just because that's all we've ever known.
Right.
But the 1 through 16 would definitely be something different.
Right.
Um, I know, um, you know, maybe logically, if the Lakers have to play the Nets, that
Yeah.
might be, what I'm saying, that might be a little different. But if that's willing to work out, then I'd be down for it. Truth be
Right.
told, I feel like it'll create a whole different atmosphere of excitement because that's never ever happened before.
Yeah, I do too. I think it would add just like you said, just another element. Like the All-Star game switched up, and I think it switched up for the better. Now we saw more competitive play.
I
They were playing
love
for
that.
something. Yeah, so I think change is good as long as you do it strategically and it makes sense. Don't just do it just to do it. And when you have a time like this, I think it is the perfect opportunity to try something new. This is the one thing I was worried about. I want to make sure it benefits the teams that took the regular season seriously. Like there was a
Right.
thing talking about there was like a theory or an idea that they're going across where it really didn't benefit the teams that were the higher seeds in the playoffs. And it's like they took the regular season seriously. That shouldn't be taken away the benefits that they receive for doing that. If
Right.
that were the case, though, it would have the potential to have the Clippers and the Lakers in the finals instead of the Western Conference Finals. How big would that be? How big would that be?
Man, even thinking about that has me excited. I mean, in my opinion, those are the two best teams in the league.
Right.
Because you got PG and Kawhi. Kawhi is the best perimeter player in the league to me.
Yeah.
Just basically based on his defensive prowess and the fact that he's going to get 30 whenever he wants now.
Yeah.
The bag is fully unlocked. There's nothing you can do with him. You got PG, then you got, Bron and AD on the other side. So I feel like that would probably be one of the most watched finals ever.
Ever. Yeah, especially during this pandemic. Now, my question for you would be, I've listened to players' interviews, and I think this obviously hurts all teams as far as chemistry and rhythm. So they'd need a couple weeks, a couple practices, a couple games to get back in rhythm and chemistry. But as far as the overall health, couldn't I argue with the Lakers having an older roster? And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Bron guy. I'm not just saying this because I support the Lakers. I really mean this. As an older roster, AD had some nagging injuries. LeBron always had that weird groin thing in year 17. This obviously benefits the Lakers from a health perspective, right?
Most definitely. I feel like this, even through all the trials and tribulations of COVID, for the most part, has been a blessing in disguise. These guys played 66 games up until the point of stoppage, and they got 2 months off. They really got an off season, but we both know they're hooping constantly. Right. So there probably hasn't been a time in a long time where they really got 2 months to just let their bodies rest. Mm-hmm. So I think we're just coming back in and ramping up just a little bit. I think they might be fresher than ever.
Right. No, I agree. And I'm a big UFC guy. So when they had the UFC event, UFC 249, it was like the first live sporting event they had since this whole pandemic. And there was no audience. And one of the players, one of the athletes or fighters, he came out and said that actually helped me focus more. I listened to my corner. I was able to focus on my opponent.
I did hear that, yeah.
I think I did better. That's what Justin Gaethje said. For the NBA players, do you think this would actually help them? Would we see more production, or do you think maybe not because the crowd influences that momentum?
Nah, I don't think that we'll see more production, but these are the most talented athletes in the world, period. Right. So I don't think that it will amplify, because when you're hooping and you get going, you got the whole crowd, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You could become a whole different player just based on the momentum of the crowd. So I don't think that it's going to hurt the players, but it definitely won't help, you know what I'm saying, not seeing those faces in the crowd.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair enough. One thing I want to talk to you about is from a GM perspective, because like I said, when I was talking to you, you didn't look at things as just a sports analyst or just as a fan. You were looking at things as if you were already in the front office. And one of the things you and I talked about was Philly. And I've been really high on this, and I don't wish anything bad upon any athlete or player or coach. I just said it doesn't work. I just don't think it works. Ben Simmons always thrives when Embiid is out. Embiid always thrives when Simmons isn't playing, just the way their styles go. Both extremely talented. You could say Embiid's the better player right now, but I would stick to Simmons, build around Simmons, and I would trade Joel Embiid while I can get as much for him. And I know that sounds like a crazy statement. I know it does, but if you were eventually it gets to the point where if you keep losing, they're going to make a change. So I don't think they win this year, no matter what the seeding is. I think it's either Bucks. I have actually Boston going to the finals. If you were the GM of the 76ers, what move are you making? And let's just say it doesn't work. Do you stick with it and you just keep on? Maybe it's the coach, maybe it's role players, or are you blowing it up?
Okay. I mean, I think Brett Brown is a good coach. I met him when he came down here to Charlotte, to Winston-Salem in the preseason when they played Philly. So I think he's a good coach. For me, Philly's problem is I need Ben to unlock his game, man.
Okay, no, that's fair enough.
I need because the greatness that he's displayed to me without a jump shot, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a guy become an all-star at point guard and he's not really scoring outside of 10 feet.
Not really. He's not.
He's like, you see what I'm saying? So I feel like that's going to be the key to success for them. If Ben gets a mid-range, the three is a stretch. The guy's been shooting from 5 to 10 feet. I just need him to give me 15 to 18 feet. If he can hit a mid-range and spread the defense a little bit,
Yeah.
I feel like their success rate changes because the way that the defensive schemes are going to be brought up is going to be completely different.
Right. Okay. So you're giving them a little opportunity to grow individually, which I think is smart, though, because that has been a criticism of Ben Simmons, though, is how have you not been improving in that aspect of your game where clearly that's your weakness? Clearly that's where you need to improve. So is that something that scares you about maybe just his character in general?
Slightly.
Yeah, man.
Just slightly, because I know probably from the beginning that's what he's been told. But the thing is, when he came down here, I saw him shooting, man.
Yeah, in warm-ups, right?
I have videos on my Instagram and my phone of him shooting jump shots. The kid has a nice stroke.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's a confidence thing.
Right. That's a great point.
Which I can't quite understand because he's a top tier athlete. You know what I'm saying? The things that he's doing on the floor, it's almost like he's just scared of that part of himself. But I don't know why, because if he wants to be what, everyone who believes in him feels he can be,
right.
If he gets that mid-range, you know what I'm saying, he's a top 3, top 5 point guard.
Right.
Because he's 6'10".
Mm-hmm.
He can pass, he can handle, he can do everything.
Defend, yeah.
He can defend, but the thing that separated him from, the top tiers, the Currys, the Dames, the Kyries, is
no jump shot.
He has no jump. I mean, and of course, those guys are just flat purists of basketball. I'm not asking him to be that.
Right.
But I just need you to just unlock it a little bit for me. Scare the defense. That's all we need. You scare the defense. Then you have Tobias on the wing. That's easy 20-25.
Yeah.
And then you got Joel Embiid, who for me, that's just, the second coming of Akeem in most senses. Akeem is the most skilled big man 5 I've ever seen play basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, he's ridiculous. I think he's not that he's underrated because we all understand his greatness, but when people talk about the greatest centers, it's like his name doesn't come up right away. It's like the Shaq, the Kareem, the Wilt, and Hakeem works Shaq. People go to Hakeem, and not even just in the post player. Kobe went to him, LeBron went to him. Everyone goes to Hakeem to learn something.
If probably since high school, because I just watch hoops.
Yeah.
Always had the conversation of, who the best centers are. And you're like, I'm a Lakers guy.
Yeah.
So, of course, Shaq is the most dominant we've ever seen.
100%.
That's not even without question. But skill-wise, to me, if you ask me, because that's what basketball is about me, it's a profession who gets the best at their job.
Right.
Hakeem is the best center that we've ever seen. He can handle, shoot, dribble. Defensively, it wasn't even fair.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? All these guys that we named, he was working these guys. You could have put, and like you said, he didn't play Wilt or anybody like that. Wilt was a freakish athlete, but his skill set wasn't. Come on, man.
No.
Like I separate these guys. Like you can't play in a league with 9 teams, and
man, it's different.
It's different. It's a different game, man.
That's a really interesting way you looked at it because he maximized his potential. Like right now we kind of look back at it and we'll be like, Shaq kind of didn't always practice the hardest. He wasn't always in shape. He showed up when he needed to, especially, and then he dominated. But Hakeem, that's not one criticism about Hakeem. I feel like he's maximized his skill set throughout his whole career.
I 100% agree. I feel like he played, 17, 18 years. I know he averaged 20 points in probably 15 or 16 of those years. So,
walking buckets.
You know what I'm saying? He was getting buckets. There was nothing you can do with him down in Houston.
Yeah, man. Okay, so now I want to use your GM mindset. And All right. Are you a believer, before we get into which one you're going to play, are you a believer in Giannis stays? Does he go to Golden State? Does he go to another team like a Miami, or does he stay in Milwaukee? I've went out on record and I believe he stays. I really do. I think he stays. I think he's a little different. I don't think he's like most players in the NBA where they do want to team up. I think he wants to win it in Milwaukee. So I think he stays. Do you see that?
I see that. That guy is he's different.
Yeah, he is.
Just from his mentality standpoint, he just plays the game so angry. It's like they want to say old school. He's an old school type player. You can hear by the way he talks.
Right.
He's a builder. He's not a you know what I'm saying? He's not really looking to join. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be the focal point, and if they can build there, then I feel like that's what he's willing to do. He wants to maximize himself out in Milwaukee.
Okay.
At this current point, I believe so.
All right. So let's say you are the general manager for the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the general manager for the Warriors. And what would be your sales pitch to Giannis? He goes into your room. He's with his agent. He's the number one free agent on the market. Why should I stay in Milwaukee?
For the most part, I feel like what they've shown is one thing you can't take. They've shown that they can build there. Since his inception into the league, I would just guarantee him that there would never be a time in the future, the near future, that he ever steps on the floor without a chance of winning the championship.
Yeah.
And being in the East, where you know what I'm saying, it's obvious, it's not the West Coast.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Them boy Rough Riders out there.
That's great.
It's a little different. So, and I know at his point now, what is Giannis, 24, 25?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. He's his trajectory of improving his game is on a level that's scary.
It is.
So I would, yeah. And the jump shot is coming.
It is.
When he came down here to Charlotte, he had 40 and 21, and I'm like,
what?
He had 40 and 21, and I'm sitting here, you know what I'm saying, and it's like, what is this guy doing? He's literally like what I've heard people compare to him. He's a wing Shaq.
Yeah, he is. He's just so dominant. You can't stop him physically, and then when he is free, it's like, okay, yeah, we're done.
He's too strong, and yeah, and I see the confidence flowing in him when he's taking these jumpers. That's gonna be one of the scariest things one of the scariest things we've seen. When the three comes, it's not gonna be fair, really.
Right. No, it's not.
So I would continue, you know what I'm saying? I would tell him, I believe in you and your skill set and your work ethic. That's number one for me. Players that work hard, but not just work hard because you feel like that's what you need to do, it's because that's what you want to do. You see what I'm saying? Right. Those guys are different. That's what makes the greats great.
Right.
So I would implore him to continue to working hard and guarantee him that what we surround him with will match what he's going to bring to the table every time. There won't be any lacking.
That's a good pitch. That really is, and I think that's going to ultimately persuade him. I do. I think he stays in Milwaukee. But if I were the Golden State's GM, is it Bob Myers? I don't know. Yeah, I think it's Bob Myers.
Myers, yeah.
All right. So if I'm Bob Myers, I'm a little younger right now. So if I was Bob Myers, I would go to Giannis. This would be my pitch to Giannis. I would say, Giannis, you are an all-time great talent, but I don't want to see that go to waste. I don't think Milwaukee's a free agent destination. I'm not here to disrespect any of your friends or teammates in Milwaukee, but we're able to provide you something to reward your hard work, and that is championships. And here's the thing. It's not a Kevin Durant situation. We didn't just go 73-9. We didn't make the playoffs. So it's not like you're coming and you're joining a bandwagon team. You're going to come here, be the focal point, and be the reason why we won an NBA championship. And you're going to be surrounded by a Steph, a Clay, and a Draymond. And this is going to end up being your team. You're the youngest guy. You're in your prime. Everyone else is aging. So when they age, this is clearly going to be your team. So you will be remembered as winning these championships as the guy to a team that didn't win it before you that year prior. I think they do have an interesting pitch, man, because he knows that this Warriors organization is aggressive. And it's like, even when they look like they're counted out, they get Andrew Wiggins. They trade D'Angelo Russell. Like, I think
That's a good move.
I don't think he does it, but I think to like anybody else in the league that doesn't have that type of mindset, I think it sells them. So it's interesting. It really is, especially if they lose this year. I don't know, man. It's scary because although he is going to a team where they are successful without him, he does have that in his back pocket that they didn't go to the playoffs before he went there, like KD. KD clearly, that got to him. He went to a team that just went to the finals. Giannis wouldn't have that kind of in the back of his mind, if that makes sense.
I agree. It'd be hard to turn down playing with Steph and Clay.
That's hard.
When people hop on KD, I never understood it personally.
Yeah, I understand.
Because it's like you look at it from a job perspective. Why would I not want to go to the best job with the best opportunity to win and live in a city like San Francisco and play with, in my opinion, the greatest shooter ever, and Clay? He's not far behind, my goodness.
Second greatest shooter ever.
He's not. So, in with Giannis's game, you know what I'm saying, the paint is going to be wide open. So, it's going to be wide open. So, if anybody has the strongest chances, like you said, to get him, if he didn't have that mindset, he was gone, man.
That would be scary. This would be LeBron's last year to win a championship.
I wholeheartedly believe that. Yeah, for sure.
Man, TJ, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. I can't wait to come back in Charlotte. I really can't. Whenever the things go back to normal, do you like the direction? And this is on my podcast here. You're not representing the Hornets, but just in your opinion, are you positive with the way things are going? Because we did talk about it. They do have a young core. You do have some nice young players. Do you see a bright future for the Hornets?
I do. Coach JB, I really like him. I really like what he's brought to the Hornets. His mentality, his just approach to the game, and how hard the guys play for him. Like I told you back then, when your team isn't that good, the only thing that you can want from the players is for them to play hard and be competitive every night.
Right.
I can't really think of any games off my head where, I showed up and those guys wasn't hooping.
That's important.
They want to win, man.
Yeah.
And even in this league, when you don't have the talent, you got to have the want.
Right.
And when you have the want, that's when you start to see improvement in your team. Like Devontae Graham, most people didn't know he was going to come out and shine like that.
Right.
He's a different kind. He's a different type of cat. He's not afraid at all.
Right.
Not afraid at all. You got Terry Rozier, which is, I really like Terry, man. He gets busy.
Killer. He's a
killer. For the first time in a long time, they hit on the draft pick with PJ Washington. They really hit on him. Miles Bridges, I like Miles Bridges too. I was a believer in him when he got there, and his jump shot has improved as I thought it would. As watching him, I watched him warm up in his rookie year. You just getting in the swing.
Right.
You're not, what I'm saying, your feet aren't really wet like that. But his improvement in the years, I believe in that. So their core, from what I've seen, these guys keep playing together. And like I said, being in the East, they can become a playoff team, whether it's another piece that needs to come in
Right.
or if you just let these guys rock out together, I think that they can get into the playoffs. I think so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do, and that's a really good point you just said. It's if you don't have it, play hard. Because if you look at
Yeah,
Miami in the NFL, and it's like they're just with the new coach, they
yeah,
don't have a talented roster, but they played really hard, so they
true.
won way more games than they were supposed to win. And then on top of that, now you've built a culture. So now when you draft a guy like Tua, it's like, okay, now we have the culture. Now we have a young guy. That's important. My last
True.
question for you is let's just say the regular season's over with. They have to give out these awards. Um, who's your MVP? I've heard so many different things. It's like, how could you not give it to Giannis? He clearly had the best season. I've heard it's LeBron James. Look, he's the first guy in the West, first seed, led the Lakers, year 17. When he plays Giannis, he destroys him. When he plays Kawhi, he beat him. It's LeBron. Who is your MVP? I understand both ends. I really do. Now, me, I lean LeBron, but most I think would lean towards Giannis, and I completely get it.
That's so tough.
I mean, Chris Paul should get some votes too, but it's clearly between those guys.
Yeah, I feel like it's so tough because I was kind of teeter-tottering in the middle.
You're right.
For the most part, I was trying to see how things continue to play out. Braun is Braun, man. It's like it's tough to you can't devalue what he does because you know what I'm saying, he does everything. In Giannis's case, he's dominating them cats.
Dominating.
You know what I'm saying? It's not really fair most nights. I saw a stat the other day. He had 10 30-point games in under 30 minutes played or something like that.
This is ridiculous.
I don't know if that like he's not playing like that's crazy to me. So if I'm gonna be honest, I'm slightly leaning toward Giannis just because he's in such a level of dominance.
Right.
But believe me when I say the margin is minute.
Okay.
The margin is minute. If there's 15 games left and or however they want to do it, and I would give it to Braun in most cases. Okay. But just the simple fact that he has 4 of them, they look at that.
Oh yeah, of course. That's
he got 4 of them.
I've been really upset with this whole MVP award for a couple of years. Like, I don't want to seem like that hater, but it's like you can't tell me in any year Russell Westbrook has been more valuable than LeBron. You can't tell me when Derrick Rose was more valuable than LeBron. You can't tell me when Steph Curry wasn't more valuable than these guys. But I think they go off who had the best season. So I said they should rename the award then. It's who had the best season, or it should be best player award. It's just they're not more valuable. And that's where I think it gets tricky. Okay. How you find value.
So, as you can see in the background, you know who my favorite player is. So, Kobe Bean, my guy. The MVP award since the 90s really hasn't been individual, really.
Right.
Because if you want to look at what Kobe did in the 2000s, he has 1.
Right. That's crazy.
Kobe has 1 MVP. Steve Nash has 2. Shaq has 1.
Great point.
So the award is team driven. Of course, it's going to go to one of the better players in the league, of course. Right. But it's team centric. Like, it's based on what you can do for your team. So when D Rose won, and what was that, 2011 when he was 22?
Chicago was on a roll. Yeah,
Chicago was on a roll. I'm pretty sure they won 61, 62 games that year. And D Rose was just on a level that we haven't really seen from somebody that young. It was ridiculous.
Youngest MVP ever, yeah.
Ever. And I don't really see that changing anytime soon. Because I don't it's too many good older guys in the league
to let that happen.
To let that happen right now.
Right.
I agree. Huh?
It's tough. It's so tough. But like you said, it is based off your team, and it's also storylines. And that's why I gave the edge to LeBron with the storyline, because they didn't make the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. You go to the first seed, obviously Anthony Davis has a part of that. Other pieces have a part of that. But either way it goes, I'm comfortable with it. It's not like someone got robbed either way. I give the slight nod to Braun. I know most would say Giannis. So I think it's fair either way it goes.
I agree. I mean, it's like I said, it's nothing. Even if it's given to Giannis, it's nothing to take away from Bron.
Right.
And we want to be completely clear. There's nothing that he ever has to do ever again.
Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
that was years ago. I mean, you can say what you want. You can say what you want about him, but he's a Mount Rushmore player.
100%. But he's chasing that ghost, and that's why he's getting every minute detail matters when you chase that ghost.
I feel like everybody wants to chase the ghost, man. Okay, well, let me say this. In my opinion, like I told you, it's the best player is about skill.
Yeah.
And I know who you feel like your favorite player is, but to me, the best player ever is Kobe.
Oh,
the skill set.
Yeah, we had this little text thing going back
and
forth.
Because I just look at what was done on the floor.
Right.
If you look at the tape, if you look at the skill set, no one ever took it to that level ever.
Yeah, he's the most artistic player we've ever seen.
He's you know what I'm saying, pure, like you said, artistry. What he put in front of everybody for 20 years is incredible. And like a lot of people, what they call him, they say he copied Mike or he's baby Mike or something. I need you to put on the tape and show me some of the things that he did that Mike did.
It's a great point, and I also think MJ had the advantage of being ahead of his time. Like we've never seen anyone like MJ.
Years.
So if you were to replace Kobe with MJ, I think we could be looking at the same thing, maybe just first.
Literally, and the thing about basketball that people who casually watch it don't understand is the situation.
Right.
The situation that you come into. When Mike came in, the Bulls were garbage.
Yeah.
And they quickly found out we've never seen anything like this. So we're going to let this guy do whatever he wants.
Right.
So that's how you win. What did he win? 9 scoring titles? Do you?
Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
That's not happening. You see what I'm saying? They let him just rock out.
Yeah.
So I wholeheartedly believe, and they say Mike is a killer. I think Kobe was the ultimate killer. So if Mike got 9 scoring titles, Kobe was getting 12.
Okay, now here, this is going to be an interesting subject. I don't mind talking about it. Is Kobe Bryant without MJ, though? MJ had that mindset without knowing that there was anyone else ever going to be like him. Would Kobe still have that killer man? I think he will because that's in your DNA. But is it to the extreme if he didn't have Michael Jordan to pave the way?
I think maybe the guidance isn't the same.
Right.
But because, Mike was an originator and an innovator in a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But if you watch him, some of the things that he did, if you play basketball, you got to take from other people.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So his layup package or anything, he just was jumping higher than everybody. But that's just George Gervin.
Yeah.
But see, everybody don't know about the Iceman because people don't really know about the game prior to MJ.
Right. You're dropping knowledge.
What I'm saying? Or Dr. J or these players. So the guys that MJ watched, if Kobe were to watch those guys, I feel like it would look a little different.
Right.
But it wouldn't. I don't really see too much of the same because you could just hear in his mindset, even the way that he approached Michael Jordan. He said, I'm that too.
Yeah, he didn't back down.
You can watch a player and absorb that, but that has to be in you. You know what I'm saying? He's not in the gym with you.
Right. No, see, now you saying Kobe's the greatest is not going to make me like, oh my God, what are you thinking? And this is Kobe Bryant. This is, like you said, the most artistic player ever. Killer mentality, the Mamba mentality. So I understand it. Now, I have him in my top 5, but I number 1. I have, I don't have him number 1, but you make interesting points. And I do think after watching this MJ documentary series, I felt like, for one, it was incredible. It was my favorite documentary series I've ever seen. Like, I think people feel like if you're pro Bron, it doesn't mean you can't be pro Jordan too. I I enjoyed every moment of it. But one thing I did notice is there are some double standards. There wasn't social media back then, and he was ahead of his time. So it made me think of the conversation that we're having. I'm like, wait a second. Kobe could have done this too. Kobe would have beaten this team. Like, I think Bron would have beaten this team. And I tried not to do that on Twitter, and I tried to just appreciate Jordan for what he did, appreciate Kobe for what he did, appreciate Bron for what he did. So when you're comparing the all-timers, there's so many what ifs. There's so many, like you said, situations that matter, teams, location, who's around you, what coach did you have. So it's tough. So that's a really interesting point you bring up, though, because when you look at overall artist, I think Kobe Bryant. I've never seen anyone hit a turnaround left-handed fader.
That's literally the one play that pops into my mind,
like what?
Against the Mavs. And that's skill.
That's ridiculous.
I've seen him stand still with his left hand and sink half court shots with his left hand 3 in a row. That's not. You've never seen that before. And never. I feel like the greatest determination, between all of these guys is they just play different in a sense. Like,
right.
Mike had his time and how he played his domination period.
Yep.
And like a lot of people like to say, he's the GOAT. The GOAT metric for me is culturally for him.
Yeah, he has the biggest brand.
So that's what, if you want to say Mike is the GOAT, you know what I'm saying, if you're 35 and older, I don't get mad at those cats. That's what they saw. You know what I'm saying? You can't take away, you know what I'm saying, 3 in a row, 5 MVPs. Right. In that junction of time, he was the greatest that anyone has ever seen, and he will always be that.
Yeah, 100%.
Then you move to Kobe. He was that same thing, but in my opinion, 3D. And when Mike played, there were no zones.
Right.
If you watched Kobe, he played against zones with the new wing NBA. Mike didn't play in a wing NBA. Yeah. So when Kobe was playing against T-Mac and Iverson and Vince Carter and Melo and you see what I'm saying? It's a difference.
Yeah.
It's a difference because the defenses were tougher. The kids were more athletic.
Right.
Or the players are more athletic, and you could defend him differently. So then you move to Bron, who came in, was it 03?
Yep.
03, 04. So he saw a lot of the same what Kobe did, but his game was just different. Like he said, he loved Mike, but his favorite player is Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't take anything away from Bron for being who he is.
Right.
That's people's problem.
Right.
Like they said, comparison is a thief of joy.
So knowledge right now.
You see what I'm saying? That's how I feel. So I enjoy Bron because you've never seen a player score 30 and pass the ball like he has.
And defend 1 through 5.
So that's what separates him and makes him different. So when people talk about who their favorite player is, if they feel like he's the best ever, I don't ever get mad at it.
Right.
Because I've seen what he's put on tape. I know what that guy's been doing for, you know what I'm saying, over a decade and a half. It's indistinguishable.
Yeah.
So there can be cases made. For me, those are the 3 that can ever say that they wanted to, be the best ever. And in my opinion, they're 1, 2, 3. If you want to interchange them, interchange them.
In any order, those are your 3 guys.
Those are the 3 guys. There's never been to do what they've done on the level, period.
All right. Now, because we got onto this subject, I love it, Tim. I really appreciate your time. Is this, and I'm going to say something that may come off controversial. If it does, you let me know if I'm crazy. Let me know if it's right. And this will be the last thing we do is every sport that people get better, and not even in just sport and in life, technology gets better over time. UFC fighters have gotten better over time. NFL players have gotten better over time. Yeah. Everything you look at has gotten better over time. That doesn't mean we're taking away from the past. It doesn't mean we didn't need the past. They're still great in their way, but players get better over time. And I think it's Same thing with the NBA. Now the game is different. It's not as physical, so they may not seem as tough. But I think the athletes are better. There's better medicine. There's better training. They can learn from their past. So when I look at this and I break this down from the conversation that we're having, I think Kobe played against better talent, and I think LeBron played against better talent. But when I say this against someone who is pro Jordan, it's like, get out of here. That's not even close. I'm watching this documentary, and I'm like, come on now. This team scored, and I know it's a different game. I know it was a different game. This team scored 54 points in one game. Curry's dropping 54 himself in a game. Clay scored 37 in a quarter. Kobe scored 81 points. Like, so now, and then I'm like, okay, let's not just get hyperbolic here. Let's look at the situation. John Stockton and Karl Malone are both out of their primes, 34, 35 years old. I'm looking at the Gary Payton series. Okay, you got Gary Payton. He was not known for being an elite scorer. I mean, he was a bucket.
He could score. He scored, yeah.
Great defender. Sean Kemp was nice. They're not the guys that Kobe and LeBron played against. I'm sorry. And I say this, and I know some people are like, Max, Karl Malone, and you have to look at, I'm like, I just don't see it. I really don't. I think Kobe's era and I think Bron's era by far play against better competition.
That's no question, though.
Okay, you say when I think alike, and I appreciate that, but I've been saying this, and people are like, you can't say that. Look how dominant the 90s were. Look how good they were. And I'm like, man, I just don't see it at all. I completely disagree.
Basketball is about skill, man.
And skill has gotten better.
And skill, just like you said, just like anybody else. That's why you see 8th graders East Bang in the game now.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Because you get more athletic as time goes on. Right. Things get better. You are watching different artists paint their picture, so you have inspiration.
Right.
If you see a 7-footer now, he's bringing the ball up because he wants to be KD.
Ridiculous.
So you can't. The guys that Mike played against, yes, you hear the headliners. You hear Magic, Bird, Barkley, Elijah Wan, Malone. These are the major names that you hear, but on a night in, night out basis, that's not the case. And it's not even a slight on Jordan, but we're not going to act like Scottie didn't guard the best perimeter players.
Right.
We're not going to do that.
Right.
Because last I checked, Mike didn't have to guard, like I said, Tracy and Allen, Iverson in his prime, Vince Carter, Gilbert Arenas. These guys came in when they played. They could put 50 on you if they wanted to.
Easy.
Mike didn't have that type of competition to go off. And he 9 times out of 10, he wasn't guarding the best player. I'm not saying he couldn't.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really his role. Scottie was a lockdown guy, which gave Mike the freelance ability to just kill every night.
Right.
So like I said, basketball is about periods.
Right.
In their period, they're dominated from what they did. But no, the competition does not measure up to what Kobe and Bron faced. You just can't say it to me. Just because look at the skill level of the players that exists now, that existed 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The game is different and it improved as it should.
Man, I just want to say thank you because I'm going to have to bring you on more often. You are vouching for me. You have my back here. Tim Elliott-Simmons Jr., SportRadar, a friend, call you TJ. You are a very sincere and genuine person. Like I said, I'm really appreciative that I had the opportunity to meet you. I can't wait to come back to Charlotte when things clear up, things go back to normal next season. I'm going to try to go there as much as possible. I don't even know where I may be next season, actually. So there's a lot that the future may hold, but I appreciate you giving me your time. Whenever you want to come on the podcast, you're more than welcome to. You know that.
I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, I'll definitely be back, man. You're my favorite guy to talk sports with, so we can do that.
I appreciate it. Now, for you, where can people find you on social media? Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, at Maserati Rome, MaseratiRome. And that's about it, man. That's what
I'm going to speak into existence. That's my thing. I think you're going to be a GM one day. You're going to be a GM.
I appreciate that, bro. I'm dreaming about it. That's what I want. That's what I want.
You're going to get it. So I appreciate your time. And until next time, man, you have a good one.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, man. You be safe out there.